Are we supposed to admit it?
Yeah, exactly. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And I'm thinking about Doug. We were talking about when you're working with a seller and you've got difficult conversations to happen. How do you approach those things?
Well, it's interesting that we're having to kind of circle back as we all talk about the fact that, these are conversations too, Tracy, that probably should have happened when? Day one, right? When we were all sitting around the kitchen table and we're kind of walking through, the listing process and what's going to happen. The anticipation of saying, hey, if the property doesn't sell after we've done all this great homework in the first week or 2 weeks, here's the next chapter. And here's the next chapter. And again, have conversations around all of that on the onset. Now, again, when you asked me to raise my hand about procrastination, guilty, because there's sometimes that those things aren't covered up front, which really makes it much more difficult to 3 weeks down the road, when it's been on the market for now 20 days and someone says, oh my goodness, Doug, this property's been on the market for 2.5 weeks. What's wrong with it? Right.
Yeah.
And
but isn't that an interesting conversation though? Because do we know how many agents at 5-Star Real Estate have never had a listing that was on the market for 2.5 weeks?
Yeah.
Exactly. So to answer the original question, to go back and have those upfront, be honest, real conversations upfront, make the whole process that much easier as we anticipate what's to come. And nobody has a crystal ball, right? None of us have that crystal ball where we can say, this is for sure what's going to happen in 10 days. None of us know that. But again, to answer the original question, upfront, best time, no procrastination, be honest.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. What about you, Cindy? What are you telling your sellers right now? If you're going to list a property, what kinds of conversations are you having today that might look different than what Kim or Doug or you or I had with our sellers 3 months ago?
Yeah, well, I think now you really do have to go the extra mile. And I totally agree with what Doug said. You want to have those conversations in the beginning because it is tough going back. And we all get excited about our new listing and all that. But what I'm finding is it's not, it's such a changing market from 3 months ago, whereas sellers were under the impression you could just put the house on the market. You can leave dirty dishes in the sink and, books laying around, magazines. Well, now, buyers have been out there for a while. And I think that you need to have those conversations with your sellers as you want to have your house show ready. I have no problem going in a house, and I'm nice about it, but I'll say, hey, if this is what I suggest. If you want me to help you, we can take one room at a time or, kind of give them a game plan on getting that house ready, because really they are missing out on more money, because if the house is clean, neat, you set yourself apart, because there's so many that aren't.
Yeah. I think one of the things that's been consistent in this market, if you want the highest dollar amount, has been, we always said it has to be a beauty contest. Basically, those are the ones that are selling. And I've never dropped that phrase, beauty contest. The more perfect it is, the more staged it is, the more offers we're seeing. And I think that's been real consistent. Although I did hear some of my friends, when I would ask them, so, does my seller need to refinish these wood floors? Because they're nope, you don't have to. But we're finding things we didn't have to do, we now have to do, right? You don't, so many people quit staging. Now you need to stage, right?
Yeah, there's just less buyers. So you've got to make sure that what you put up front is really your best foot forward, because they can be picky now, and they are. They're going to be paying a lot of money at a higher interest rate, which is the reason we have less buyers. But we need to be good advice givers and not be afraid of the conversations that we need to have about a room that looks difficult or that maybe has a poor smell to it. Get in front of it, have the conversation, anticipate what you are going to say. Do not procrastinate. I think, Kim, we've talked about a difficult listing that you've had, and maybe you can share a little bit about what that journey has looked like. in the last number of weeks, and sort of how you've been coaching along this seller to help bring him to this new place.
Sure. So I listed this home. He's a past client, listed this home right when the market changed. June 14th was my listing date. And the market, that's when the gas prices went up, the interest rates went up, everything changed. So, I remember getting in front of it, like Doug said, like, I can't guarantee what this market's going to do, but at this point, we can push our price point, but we need to see what's happening. And then literally days later, everything just fell apart. And so we literally started this home at 250 on June 14th. And now August, I think it was 15th, we are at 215. That's how far, not able to hardly get anybody through the doors. This is a nice home with lake access, rebuilt, new mechanicals. It's a little out. It's a little bit further out. It's out in Delton, so it's a little bit further, Battle Creek. And so I've been chasing this. I didn't know to get in front of it. We were still in that middle conversation. I remember last year by this time, my conversation with my sellers were, I think your house is worth. Can I get you 10,000 more? I don't know. I don't even know what I know anymore. And sure enough, we'd come in at 10 over, 20 over, 30 over. And so I wasn't prepared that this was happening. So now I've had to chase it. I have thought we have done price reductions. We have done 2 open houses, 0. Round the corner, 35 people came through. They're lakefront, we're lake access. I mean, at the last minute on Saturday, he goes, hey, Kim, seller across the street, I'm seeing signs, or around the corner, seeing signs, they're doing an open house. Can you do an open house? Sure, let's do it. 35 people, 0 at ours. I mean, I'm like, what is happening here?
And so what were you learning as you were walking through with some of these? Because that's honestly, so getting in front of it means holding an open house, listening to the buyers. It's fun to be able to say to your seller, oh, I met this family from here, or this young couple from here, or a single guy here. This is their feedback, because then it's firsthand.
Right. And I couldn't even get anyone through the doors to get feedback. And I woke up to last Monday morning to what are you going to do to sell my house this week? Like point on. And so I thought, can we stage it? That's not going to make any difference. So we continued to talk through it. And then finally, so there's a lot of variables there, but just kept talking. And as I got people through, we did overcome some of the objections. So that gave me something to work with, like, oh, you need so much parking. So then I knew to get in front of it, like plenty of parking, right? We just, because I told them what they couldn't see. And then it was internet. So I started getting something. Now it's 1 bathroom, but now at least my seller has something. I wasn't getting them through the doors. So I woke up last Monday morning to this email from my seller going, what are you going to do to sell my house this week? And I thought, I've spent more money on selling your house and I'm not selling your house. And so that night I went to bed, still in my mind. I woke up Tuesday morning. I said, all right, I'm going to try this. So I made a flyer in Canva, and I called my seller. I go, I have an idea. I said, we reduced. I need to get these buyer's agents to bring their clients through. I said, will you give them $1,500 buyer incentive if they get me an offer, execute offer by August 25th? He goes, let's do it. My phone has blown up all weekend with showing.
Good job, Kim. That's great. You kept at it.
I just had to keep saying, what can I do? What do we do? Do we need to paint a wall? They've moved out, it's clean. And so I made the flyer. It went out Wednesday at noon. And I added really big selling agent bonus, $1,500 for executed contract by August 25th, spent $25, sent it to the board, through the board, to every agent in G-Car, and my phone is blown up for the last 5 days. I've done my job as far as getting people through. Now I need to get the offer. Actually, I finally got a direct call. I'm showing it myself tonight, 7:30. I said to the seller, I'm selling it tonight. And we don't get our leads hardly anymore because they go through paid resources, right? So that is my one thing. A friend of mine, I got an email. She's having a broker open tonight from 5 to 6:30 with wine and cheese. And I want to tell her that broker open is just going to make everybody happy to come have some food. I don't know, it got them through the door. So that's,
Yeah.
I just have to keep thinking, what's the next thing? What do I do next? But if you can't get them through the door, I can't get an offer for them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That was really thinking outside the box and something
really
that we
was.
used, it's something we used to see a number of years ago. And so, so we might, these are the kinds of things we might be seeing again. And if you're a new agent, you don't have these tools in your toolbox. They didn't
Right.
exist. We haven't been using them. There was not a need for it. So now we need to start having conversations. We need to be anticipating what could happen. And so these kinds of conversations we hope can give you the tools to do that. I was in Traverse City today at a coffee hour here and was talking with a couple of our agents, and Robin, one of our agents, told us about a new tool in the Aspire North MLS, and I think it's excellent. So, you know, after you listed a house, you can go in and you can see how many agents are working with a client who your house met that criteria. Here's the new one. Let's say you have a house priced at $350,000 and you're getting nothing. Like, you know, there's 29 agents that liked it, so many agents loved it, whatever. But it's not equating to offers. Now there's a tool that you can go in there. I can change it from 350. And when I change it to 350, from 350 to, let's say, 339, it shows me how many more agents I just picked up if I lowered the price.
Wow,
like
really?
So it's like, okay, if I'm trying to move the dial 10%, 5%, 15%, what number do I have to move the sales price of the home to pick up the buyers? Their agents, potential buyers, right? But again, it's a tool that was not available before. So, you know, like we did an example while we were Zooming today, moving at $10,000 picked up 0 more buyers in this scenario. So, you know, so check with your MLS, see whether or not these kinds of tools have recently been added to where you're a pro. But I can tell you that if you're in the Aspire North market, which is basically your Cadillac, Traverse City, Leelanau counties, Grand Traverse counties, you have these tools available, which I think are phenomenal and maybe something we are going to see more of.
Well, and what a great way to then take those tools back to your seller. Do you think that price correction, reduction, whatever we want to call it, will be a little bit easier conversation to have? To say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, if we adjusted it by 10,000, we're picking up what? Nobody. But if we adjusted it here, we'd get that many more people interested, possibly showing. I mean, those kind of things. Again, you involve your seller in these conversations. And I think that's more meaningful to them because they see that you're working harder for them. You're doing anything you could possibly do to get more, as Kim said, more people to the front door, right?
Yeah.
One thing
You haven't really had an opportunity to do your job yet, Kim. You don't have an offer to talk
I
about.
haven't had anyone even through the house.
Yeah.
One of the other things I want to mention too is I also, after 63 days, I canceled it and we relisted it so it'd go out as new. That's
like
another thing that you can do.
I'm going to be doing that on one of my listings too. It makes a difference because it goes out to all the other agents again. It's kind of a nice reminder, you know, and it just shows fresh new.
Keeps it fresh, folks. Yep.
Change the front picture when you relist it too. Sometimes
we took new photos.
Click on it.
Yeah, we changed the photos. I changed up the verbiage. I've tried it every way I possibly can, but now I have a chance of selling it because they are coming through the front door.
You guys
Well,
don't
and some of those unique properties too, you have to do things a little different. I've got a unique property too, Kim, and it's, I'm trying to think of all these different, so you gave me an idea.
Good.
You guys don't want no more pictures of the bathroom stools or anything like that? I mean, you really want to go big?
Close that seat. Don't leave the seat up.
Close the lid. We have a question here from Deanna Phillips. She says, Tracy, what was that program you used to show that? Do you know the name of it, or maybe we can get back to her? But it wasn't as an Aspire, and she's
it's inside of
Flex.
Aspire North. So if you're a member, I can't think of where Deanna is a member at, but
She's here
it would
in
be in the
Kalamazoo.
Paragon. Where'd you say?
Kalamazoo area,
She's
right?
in Kalamazoo.
Yep.
Okay,
G-Con.
so it's in the Paragon MLS. So if you're an Elma agent, you probably have it as well. But we have some smaller markets that use Paragon, but it's inside the Paragon system.
Okay.
But I think
Okay.
a quick call to all of our MLSs, we might learn that it's been something that's been added. Maybe it's just there, I don't know, but I just learned about it today and I thought it was absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
Awesome. It's a good
Can we
idea.
talk about how, if we haven't been having the conversation, how do we start it? Like, how do we now jump into this conversation? What's our conversation starters? I'll start with mine's and let's talk about what's happening in the market. That's what, how do you all, I wrote my, one seller today and said, are you available after 5 or what time is good for you? Let's talk about what's happening in the market.
Yep.
Just got to have it, right?
I echo what you just said, Kim. That's exactly what I said. Hey, there's been some things that have happened in the last weeks, month that we really need to talk about, just so we're all on the same page. When would be a great time to get that, get that time set so we can have that be real conversation. And so often when you are communicating with your sellers on a regular basis, it's just another chapter. Well, good. We're going to talk about this just like we did last week, right? But if you haven't been communicating with your sellers, you did what agents shouldn't do, put the sign in the yard and hadn't had a conversation with them in a couple of weeks. You've left everything to their imagination. So the information they're getting is not through you, not the pro, right? But they're hearing it out there in the world and they're drawing their own conclusion as to what's happening in the marketplace. So I asked that same question that you just asked, Kim. When can we have that next conversation?
Well, and if you're a newer agent, you don't have a lot of history. You don't have years of experience. You don't have a lot of transactions under your belt. And if there's one thing Greg Carlson has always pointed to was be a student of the market. So all of our MLSs provide all this data. So if you need to know, how do I find out what's the average number of days on market? What's the average sales price in a particular zip code? These are the things that you can go into your MLS and become an expert at, so that when you get in front of a seller and you have that opportunity to be and look like the pro, you have real live data that you can point to say, you know what, well, when we originally started our conversations more than 30 days ago, this is what the market looked like. And maybe even 60 days it wasn't like this. But today, this is the market that we're in. And I always say the stats don't lie, right? They are the market.
Yeah, and it helps you be more confident too, because you have the statistics, you're educated about it. And the more you procrastinate, just like what Tracy was talking, the more you procrastinate, the harder it is. So just pick up the phone and do it. And you'll feel so much better, and keep those conversations going with your sellers because they appreciate it. They look forward to it, and they're looking to us for the guidance.
So Tracy, what would you say if you go in? I've done this. I went in or like on Zillow, there's, hundreds of hits, saves. They are seeing it. And my seller saying to me, well, where are they? So the stats are there, but they're not coming through the door, right?
And so I would say, you know what? I'm seeing everything I would hope to see for a listing like yours. I'm seeing that the number of views and the number of saves are good. And when I see this, I would expect the phone to ring. But the one thing I never have control over is I cannot make the phone ring. We can look at all the indicators together, but if the public doesn't like what they see, you either need to give it more time, which is frustrating. It is no fun to live in a museum, right? Or we can move on price, because that's the thing. And I can't never adequately describe what listing your house is going to be like for you, what an inconvenience it is for your life until you experience it yourself. So I can't make the phone ring. I will pay attention to every number I can. I will market your house. We will hold open houses, but I promise you there is no agent that can make that phone ring.
Yeah, and a lot of times those hits mean that, they could be looking at those hits, and it could be, a lot of times it's price. They're looking at it and they look at the photos and they're like, oh, that's at the top of my price range. So exactly what Tracy said. And if you don't have showings within a week, I would think it probably is.
Yeah, you've missed the mark. They're looking, but they're not calling.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, can I shift gears a minute?
Yeah.
Not that I'm all about shifting gears, but I'm talking to a lot of agents that are saying, hey, the market has changed so much. What do I have to do different now that I didn't do 6 months ago or a year ago. I've only done this for a year and a half and everything is sold. And now I'm feeling like it's slowing down and I'm just not that busy anymore. So what have we been telling our agents? What is changing and what are they having to do now that, my goodness, 6 months ago, they didn't have to do that? I know what I'm telling them, but I'd like to hear from you guys.
Yeah. Well, I think I know what Kim Anderson would say. She would be saying, you need to get educated. You should be taking some classes on this or that. Maybe I should introduce you to somebody from the marketing department that might be able to help you talk about doing an email campaign.
Yeah.
What might you guys say?
Yeah.
I say it's
Podcast.
contact more people. You really do. I mean, we're in an industry, if you're not going to contact people, you're not going to have sales, you're not going to have listings. And again, don't procrastinate, just do it. Because you'll set yourself apart, but you've got to make more contacts. Make a list, jot down when you're sitting at a restaurant and you see somebody you ran into, but it had been a long time. Write them down on a sheet of paper. I know Tracy does. I keep a notebook with me all the time. It's in my purse. It's everywhere because I have a terrible memory. So I have to, but anybody I see or anything, it kind of jots my memory and I write it down.
Well, I think
And what do you do after you write it down though, Cindy? You got to get it somewhere. What do you do with it?
Actually, I go and I'll Google the number and I'll either send them a quick note and say, hey, it was great seeing you. Let's meet for lunch sometime. And yeah, in fact, I did it this morning. I think I'm gonna have a beer, but other than that, but hey, it's people, we're all people. There's no perfect way of doing it. You just have to be yourself. I really believe that. And just do it.
that's good advice. I heard Deal Dr. Don yesterday talk with Marissa, and they talked a lot about prospecting. And again, I live with my wife of 42 years today, by the way. Happy anniversary.
Congratulations.
Oh, wow.
And she woke up this morning and said, well, who are you going to call this morning? I mean, she was already on the fact that you got to get your 10 calls out because my goal is I'm going to get 10 ear-to-ear calls a day.
Wow.
Now, maybe I don't make 10, maybe I make 5, but at least I make them, right? And so as the market gets slower and I feel like my business is getting slower, so I'm having to get in the trenches, get right back into the basics, gang. And I mean, that means getting on the phones every day, talking to people about what's happening in the market, because quite frankly, everybody wants to know, right? And they want to know from a pro, us. So not Zillow, us. So there you go.
Yeah, good stuff. It's my 2 answers would be back to the basics and keep connecting. And then an agent did ask me today, what do I do as this market slows down? That was my answer. Keep connecting. It's a good time for education. Learn what you need to shine yourself up on, but continue to stay in front of people, continue to grow your sphere, and just stay in front of them. Keep conversations going. And my last thing to him was, get with the marketing department. This is a really great time to solidify your marketing plan for the next 12 months. Get into a campaign that will keep your touches going. So when you're busy, it's still working. That was another piece of advice.
Excellent.
Great advice.
And if you're a recent Ninja graduate, work on your Ninja 9. This is a perfect time to get back to those basics, to develop a rhythm for every single day of your business life. So whether it's a crazy market or a slow market, the way you conduct your day looks exactly the same.
Yep.
I love it. I love it.
All right. Well, great conversations today about communication and ways to get in front of it and anticipate what they're going to be and don't procrastinate. So thanks, everyone.
Good stuff, everyone.
Good. Sounds good.
See ya.
Bye.
See you, everybody. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.